All right, here's part 2 of the new R720 server. So I got the new drive caddies that I needed. They came in the mail today. So let's just go ahead and open these up and we'll install this drive into the caddy. So now let's go ahead and take this over to the server and plug it in. So this is going to be where TrueNAS gets installed. So this is going to be basically where the server is booting from. So yeah, let's slide this in slot 0. It makes sense, I think, for the boot drive. And let's just make sure that that goes in there snugly. Didn't seem like it wanted to go in. All right, let's try this again. I just reoriented the drive a little bit, basically just flipped it around. So with any luck, this should fit this time. And yep, there we go. That made a nice connection. So that's in there, that's great. So again, this is where TrueNAS will be installed. So what we need to do next is download TrueNAS and burn it to a bootable USB drive. And then we're gonna boot from it in here and install it onto this drive. And while we're on the computer burning that ISO, I'm going to export a configuration file for the current TrueNAS that I have. And then we'll shut this server down and pull these drives out and put them up here. So yeah, let's go do that. All right, so let's go ahead and download TrueNAS. So I'm just gonna Google TrueNAS and head over to download TrueNAS Core, which is what I want. I don't want to get Scale, I just want to get TrueNAS Core. All right, no thank you. Download stable. So I'll let this download and then we're gonna burn it to a USB drive using Etcher, because I'm on my Mac right now and I don't think they have Rufus on Mac. So I usually use Etcher when I'm on Mac. So let's go ahead and open that up. All right, so that's finished downloading. Let's get Etcher going. All right, flash from a file. Now we just need to find the TrueNAS, it's right there. And the target will be this 32 gigabyte USB stick. And let's flash. Okay. Okay, so while that's flashing, let's go over to TrueNAS and my current TrueNAS and export the configuration file before we shut down this server. So this is basically going to be the last time I use this version of TrueNAS. So how do we do that? I believe we go to System, General. Here we go, Save Config. All right, we're gonna export this and then put the password in and save it. All right, so that's just saved locally to my Mac. So at this point, I should be good to shut this server down. So I'm gonna go to Proxmox and shut it down that way, because I need to not just shut down the VM, but actually shut down the entire server, because I need to pull those drives out. So let's just shut down the whole host. And then once this shuts down, we will pull the drives out. So let's go check on our Etcher here. Okay, so that's finished, great. So I'm just gonna eject that and then we'll wait for the server to shut down. All right, the server is shut down. You can see all the lights have turned off, and here is that USB stick that we just burned that has TrueNAS on it. So I'm just gonna plug this in here. And why don't we go ahead and pull the drives now. So these 3 drives represent my TrueNAS pool, 15 terabyte pool. So I'm just gonna put them into this new server. Okay, that's good. So I'm gonna leave this server off for now just so we don't complicate things. And let's go ahead and boot this up. And then we will get into the, we'll boot from the USB stick and go through the TrueNAS installation. So I got a monitor here instead of that TV that I had earlier. So I might need to change the source on here. There we go, VGA. Gonna get ready to hit F11. All right, F11 to hit the enter the BIOS boot manager. All right, so let's head over to the boot menu. Hard drive, front USB. All right, there we go, TrueNAS boot installer. So I'm just gonna hit enter. It's gonna do it automatically, but I'll hit enter. Okay, install upgrade, so enter. No drives available. All right, so after a little bit of research, it looks like I need to flash this into IT mode, this RAID controller. So this is a PERC H710P mini. So I just got into this by pressing Control R when I started up the server. And clearly we can see the drives here. So that's the solid state. These are the 3 5 terabyte that make up the NAS, TrueNAS pool. But doing some Googling, apparently we need to flash it to IT mode, and that will allow these drives to be presented directly to the operating system. In our case, TrueNAS. I didn't have to do this with my other server. I'm not sure why. It might be a different RAID controller. It might have been already flashed. I'm not quite sure, but I need to do a little bit of research on how we can flash this RAID controller so these drives will be visible to whatever we install onto the server. So yeah, let me do a little research on that, and we'll get back to it. All right, so after a little bit of research, it does in fact seem like I need to flash my RAID card into IT mode. Someone recommended this guide, so I'm just following the steps on this guide. And I watched a couple of YouTube videos on how to do this, and I will link those in the description. But basically, it seems like I just need to disable a few things in the server in the BIOS before I do anything. And then I need to remove the RAID battery from the adapter. And then once I do that, you download these ISOs and boot. We're going to boot into 2 different operating systems. First a DOS one, and then a Linux one. And basically that's it. So yeah, let's just let's see how this goes. You know, I've never done this before, but it doesn't look too tricky. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that battery first, and then we'll boot the server up and disable these things. All right, so I just opened up the server case, and again, we're gonna remove the battery from this RAID controller. I don't know much about RAID controllers, but I'm pretty sure this is the battery, that black thing here. This is the RAID controller. So let me just take this off so we kind of can see what we're looking at. So there's all the RAM and the CPUs. I'm gonna pull this thing out. just so we have a little bit more room in there. And then this, I believe, is what we need to remove. So I have never done this before, so let me see if I can try to do it with one hand while I hold this camera with the other. All right, so I just pressed those blue tabs, and now it looks like the whole thing's gonna be able to come out. Okay, cool. So now, all right, I've got the tripod set up so I can actually use two hands now. So I believe I'm just gonna pull this out. There we go. So these little black clips kind of just pull off. Let's see if I can see what this says. Dell battery module. Dell battery module. Yep. All right, so we're just gonna get rid of this. So we unplug that. All right, battery has been removed from the RAID controller. So now I'm gonna go put this back in here. Hopefully you can still see that. All right, that seems like a pretty snug connection in there. I think oops. I slightly cracked a piece of plastic there, but I don't think it's gonna matter. Yeah, it's in there nice and snug now. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the cover back on. I'm gonna put this back first. All right, now let's power this back on and update those BIOS settings. And then we will turn it off and boot into the ISO to start the flashing process. All right, F2. Oh, I hope I was fast enough. F2, entering system setup, okay. All right, let me go see what they told us to turn off. So, disable all of the following: processor settings, virtualization technology. So that's where we gotta go first. So this is batteries currently discharged connected. Press D. Okay, I'm gonna press D. All right. Those processor settings. Virtualization technology, that needs to be disabled, all right. What was the second one? Integrated devices, SRIOV. Okay, so that's already disabled. SRIOV global init disabled. And then I/OAT. That is also already disabled. You must also set the server boot mode to BIOS. Okay. Boot settings, boot mode. Boot mode BIOS. Okay. That's all of them. All right, let's just save this. Go ahead, finish. Yes. Okay. All right, I'm gonna reboot this, but I'm actually gonna pause this. And actually, yeah, let's just reboot now. All right, so we've done the preparation here. So we have turned all these, disabled all these settings. We've removed the RAID battery. So now we're gonna download the zip file here. Let that download. And I'm gonna open up Etcher because we're gonna have to burn. We're gonna have to actually do this twice. I only have one USB stick, so we're gonna have to use this, just this one. All right, so let's go open this guy up. Okay. All right, so the first one we're gonna burn is the FreeDOS. So let's flash from file. FreeDOS. Target will be, for some reason my USB stick's not showing up. Let me just try unplugging it and plugging it back in. Here we go. All right. All right, so this is finished. So I'm going to pull the USB stick out and we'll boot this now in the server. So let's just look at these instructions one more time. Okay, boot the server off of the FreeDOS ISO. Once this booted, just run the following command. All right, so that's what we're going to do next. We're going to boot and run info. All right, so I've got the USB stick with the DOS image on it. So I'm going to plug in the USB stick and then boot from this. And we're gonna type info once this all gets booted up. So with any luck, we'll be able to boot in. Okay, BIOS boot menu. Front USB. All right, looks like it's working. All right, this is it. This means it's working. Y'all finna get flashed. That's what is expected. So let's go ahead and type info. INFO. Okay, now we need to take note of this SAS address. So I'm gonna go take a screenshot of this. All right, so I got the screenshot of that. Now we gotta figure out what the next step is. I can't remember. So info. All right. Okay. Let's see, what did it display? Ours displayed PERC H710P Mini. H710P Mini B0. That's what I have, B0. H710P Mini B0. H710P Mini B0. Okay. So, yep, your output should exactly match the below, which it does. Yep. Okay. Cleaning the card. Still in FreeDOS, run the following command to wipe the flash card. So PB0 cross. So let's go ahead and head back over here. And P, they actually had caps, I don't know if it matters, but PB0 cross. Let's just make sure that looks right. PB0 cross. PB, let's just make sure it's a 0. Yep, PB0 cross. Okay, if your card is not a mini B0 and a P, hit Control C. If it is not a mini B0 and a P, Well, it is a mini B0P. So, all right, hit enter. So here we go. This is going to flash it, I believe, or at least wipe it out. Press any key to clean adapter flash. All right, erasing flash chip, 16 megs. Cool, let me go set this up on the tripod because who knows how long this will take. My arm's getting tired. Success, press any key to continue. That was fast. If it finishes without error, it's time to reboot into Linux. Get the Linux ISO. All right, so I'm gonna press any key to continue and see what happens. Oh, all right, it's still going. It's doing something else now. All right, success. Press any key to write IT mode SBR. So let's press enter. Success appears above the menu. Press any key, then reboot. All right, cool. So I think now it's totally finished. So instead of rebooting, I'm actually gonna power this off. I was watching a video where the guy recommended powering it off, pulling the power plug, and then plugging it back in and booting that way. It can help make sure there's no instructions still left in the system somewhere, even after a reboot. So let me just power this off. Probably ill-advised, but I'm just gonna pull the power plug now. And I'm going to press the power button a couple times. Okay, now I gotta pull this USB stick out and burn the Linux ISO to it now. All right, so here we are back on the computer. I'm plugging the USB stick into the Mac and we're gonna burn another image. So we just did this cleaning the card step. Now we need to go here. So the first thing I need to do is burn it. So let's flash another one. And instead of the FreeDOS, we'll do Linux this time. Target is this 32 USB stick, 31 gigs. All right, let's flash that. Okay, I'm gonna ignore this and all right, so it's burned to the USB stick now. So let's go ahead and boot from this. All right, let's do this again. Now we're gonna boot into the Linux operating system. So let me power this on. Oh, you know, I forgot to plug the power cord back in. Server's about to fall off this rack. Hold on. All right, the server is not on here very securely, but all right, it's booting now. So we'll just do the same thing we did last time. F11. Once this starts. All right, we're in the boot menu. So BIOS boot menu. Front USB. What is this? Oh, it's Office Space. That's funny. Guessing this is normal. Yep, looks like it's doing something. Okay, we're in. So the directions say they're suggesting we try to SSH into it, but I'm not going to do that. So here's what we're going to do: sudo su dash. All right. sudo su dash. All right, now we're root and issue the following command: B0-H710. I just want to see what's in here. Okay. B0-H710-H710. Let's just double check that looks right. B0-H710, okay. All right, it's doing something. So that's good. That's my solid state USB, or not USB, the solid state 256 gigabyte solid state that we have right here. So it's, I guess, recognizing that. Okay, I'm not sure what it's doing now. It says erasing. I feel like it's doing something automatically. I'm just gonna let it sit here for a little bit. See, it looks like it already selected option 3 somehow by itself automatically, so I think that's what it's doing. Okay, continue following the guide to set SAS address. So I guess this is why we needed to get that SAS ID. So we just did this. So it's saying something about a kernel panic, but it didn't have us like restart anything at this point, so. Oh, actually it does say, oh yeah, here we go. It should automatically do everything required to flash. If you don't get any unexpected errors and completes, we need to reboot and program the SAS. Okay, so we need to reboot, okay. So let's head over here and reboot. Caps lock on. Reboot. Okay, somehow it booted right into it automatically, that's fine. So we should get a kernel panic. I don't know what that's gonna look like, but we'll find out. There it is, kernel panic not syncing. Timeout not also be used, shutting down CPU. So I believe this is just going to reboot itself according to these instructions. It says either let it reboot itself or use idrac to force a reboot. After that, boot back into the live ISO again and all will be well. So let's just let this sit here for a little bit. Okay, I think that rebooted. So I'm just getting ready to press F11. Seems like I don't even need to. I think it automatically is booting into the USB stick, but we'll just hit F11 anyway. All right, I'm gonna cut the video because this takes like 5 minutes, but then I'll bring it back when we're in the ISO again. All right, so as expected, it booted back in without any issue this time. So now we just need to set that SAS address. So the command we're gonna run is sudo su dash and then set SAS, and then we're gonna put in our SAS in. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. I can't film it because the picture is on my phone and I need to look at the picture. So I will start filming again after I run this command. Okay, just ran the set SAS command. SAS address successfully programmed. I think it's still doing something. So I'm just gonna let it sit here. My phone is getting very low on storage, so I'm probably gonna stop recording this because I don't want it to run out of space. But if anything eventful happens, I will record it. Okay, it was taking a while, so I just ended up hitting enter and that brought it back to the terminal. So looks like it's finished. So I'm just gonna type info because that's what it says in the guide. And we should see our SAS address is our SAS address that we just typed in, so that's good. And that's it. So there is one additional step actually, this optional boot images. So if you need to boot from drives connected to this adapter, you'll need to flash a boot image to it. So I'm pretty sure this applies to me because I'm gonna plug in a drive to this RAID controller and I'm gonna boot TrueNAS from it. So I'm gonna go ahead and run this command, flash boot, and then /root bootloader. So let's go ahead and do that. So flash boot what was it? /root. root, and then bootloaders. Is it a capital D? Bootloaders, and then MPT something. MPT. Sorry, I'm doing this with one hand here. MPT SAS2.rom. MPT SAS2.rom. Yep. So let's run that. Okay, looks like, okay. I think that was it. That should be everything. You can now ditch the live images and boot back into your normal system. All right, cool. So I'm gonna reboot, and we wanna put all those settings back that we changed in the beginning, which was, these settings here. So I'm gonna do this real fast. All right, so again, I'm just re-enabling the virtualization that I disabled earlier. So processor settings, virtualization technology enabled. And let's go back. And the other one was boot settings. I'm gonna leave that as BIOS. And the other one was integrated devices. And these we actually didn't even have to change anything because they were already disabled. So we should be good to go. So let me escape. Double check that processor settings, virtualization is enabled. I mean, technically we don't even really need this because we're not using virtualization, but I want that enabled just in case in the future. Okay, so now we can finish and we'll reboot. Okay, now we need to burn another image again onto this USB stick, so we need to burn TrueNAS back onto it. So I already have that downloaded from the other day when I was working on this, so we'll just open up Etcher again and pick TrueNAS this time. TrueNAS. Target is the USB stick. All right, let's go plug this into the server. All right, so I just plugged in the TrueNAS USB stick and we're booting again. And let's hit F11 to get into the boot manager, and we're gonna boot from that USB stick. And this right here, this language is different. This Avago Technologies, this is from the software that we just flashed. I guess this means it's in IT mode now. Yeah, so this is new, this Avago utility. And here we go, LSI, ATI, it sees my solid state drive that I have in there. So these are all good signs. All right, so here we go. We have the USB stick, and also I'm noticing it's giving us the SATA SSD as a boot option. This was not here before, so that's a good sign. So we want to boot from the USB stick to get into TrueNAS, and we will install onto that SATA drive there. So I'm just gonna hit enter here to get the installer going. And this is where we got stuck last time because it found no installation destination. So let's see if it works this time. All right, moment of truth. There we go, awesome. So we want to select the 256 gigabyte solid state drive, which is right here. This was not working previously because we were not in IT mode, so the drives weren't being presented to the operating system. In this case, TrueNAS is the operating system, but now it is, so we can hit OK. And let me read this. I haven't installed this in a while, so yep, that's fine. Password, cancel for no root. We should probably put a password in. All right, I want to boot via BIOS. Create a 16 gigabyte swap partition on boot drives. I actually don't know if I should do this. Let me Google this real fast. All right, so I just quickly Googled it. I'm seeing some conflicting info, and I don't really want to get into it too much or to spend too much time. So I'm just gonna go ahead and create the swap. Basically, we should never be using swap anyway, but it seems like we have plenty of extra space on this drive, so why not create the swap? That was the logic that somebody brought up online, so yeah, why don't we just make it? I don't care. All right, immediately as I stopped, it started doing something else, so installing base OS, one of 3. All right, so a couple minutes later, it finished. TrueNAS installation has succeeded. Please reboot and remove. So let's go ahead and do that. Just gonna reboot the system. And I'll pull this in a second. All right. All right, so I rebooted it without the USB stick. So this is now booting from the solid state drive that we installed TrueNAS on. So that's great. I'm expecting this to start up, and it should spit out an IP address where we can access it over the internet, over the web. So, or over a web browser, I should say, not over the internet, but in a web browser, we'll be able to configure it over HTTP. You know what? I don't even think I have a, this isn't plugged into my router right now. I have it, this Ethernet plug going into the idrac port. So let me just move this over. I should get another Ethernet cable. Let me do that. Okay, so I plugged a Ethernet cable into my router here and into one of the ports. And then I just had to go to configure network interfaces and pick the port that I plugged into, and it gave me an IP here. So now we can go on the computer and start configuring this. Okay, so here we are at the IP address, and TrueNAS is up and running. So let's log in for the first time. And here we go. We are logged in. This is great. Everything is working. Okay, these interfaces. So this is the main interface. That looks okay. I don't know why these are even displaying here, but it's all right. So now what we want to do is I want to basically load that config file that we exported earlier from my old TrueNAS. So I believe that was in System, General, Upload Config. This system would be okay. That's fine. So this would be in downloads, I think. This must be it, the TrueNAS. That's gotta be it. So let's upload this, and I think it said it was gonna reboot, so I guess that's what it's doing. Yeah, and I'm looking over at my monitor, and it's giving a bunch of output, like it's rebooting and doing stuff. And then the only other thing we need to do is shut down the servers and swap the drives. So we need to pull those 3 5 terabyte drives out from the old server, put them in this new server, and hopefully it either recognizes it automatically or we need to import the pool. So we'll figure that out. Okay, so it's back up and running. I actually changed the IP address of it to something else, to 15. So let's try to log in. Now let's see if there's any indication that the config restored it. So I should have some pools here. So there's Fran pool and it's offline. So the fact that I even see this tells me that this came from the old config file. So that means all my sharing should be set up. Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to power this down and put the drives in and start it back up. So let me shut this down and we'll go pull those drives now. All right, here we go. So this is the old server. Pulling these 3 out, putting them into the new server. All right, let's boot it back up, and with any luck, this will just work. So fingers crossed. All right, the server's back up and running, and I see my Fran pool is online. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to import the pool or anything. It looks like it's just working. That's awesome. So I'm just gonna poke around a little bit. But yeah, this was super easy. Hey, there it is. Everything is accounted for. I guess I should probably test to make sure I can browse to it this way. There we go. It's working. Awesome. Not sure why this wasn't working. Oh, I put in 115, not 15. Okay, sweet. Yeah, so I would say the most challenging part of this was the RAID controller and having to flash that to IT mode. The actual TrueNAS configuration and restoration of the config was really easy. Couldn't be any simpler. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful for someone maybe toying with the idea of doing what I just did. I had been thinking about this for a while and didn't really want to do it because it seemed like there was a chance that it wouldn't work, but this worked pretty easy, pretty well, I mean. So I'm just reading this. New ZFS version are available. Upgrading pools is a one-time process. It is recommended to read. Huh. So it looks like I might have some updates because I think I might have been on an older version of TrueNAS. So let me look into how to do this. I don't think I need the new ZFS feature flags. Yeah, so I just Googled that message, and basically this person's saying just ignore it, leave the pools as they are. If you don't know what features your pools are missing out on, then you don't really need such new features, and that's kind of what I was getting at. I probably don't need any of this stuff. If you upgrade your pools and then later want to downgrade, yeah, let's just leave them as they are. Okay, great. Well, anyway, I hope that was helpful. And yeah, thanks for watching. This was a fun project.